Hello and welcome to Own Your Divine Light Show. I am Janet Miller and I invite you to listen to Itzhak Beery, a leading international shamanic teacher, healer, speaker, community activist, and author of The Gift of Shamanism, Shamanic Transformations, and Shamanic Healing. He is the founder of the shamanportal.org, the Andes Summit, and the co-founder of the New York Shamanic Circle. He is on the faculties of Kripalu Center, New York Open Center, the Shift Network, Sounds True, Evolver, and staff teacher at Omega Institute. He was initiated into the circle of 24 Yachaks, I don't know if I say that right, and by his Quechua teacher in Ecuador and Yucatan. Itzhak bridges the spiritual and practical wisdom his indigenous teachers entrusted in him with a forthright contemporary approach relevant to our stressful and unbalanced modern times. He is a recipient of the Ambassador for Peace Award. Itzhak, it's a huge honor to have you here. Thank you so much for being on the show.
It's my honor. Thank you.
Thank you, Itzhak. So I've heard a little of your story, listening to some of your YouTube and how you became a shaman. And I know you started a little bit later in life than some. I know you mentioned that. So could you tell us about your journey?
It's kind of like an interesting journey, I think, because I never really wanted to do this kind of work at all. It wasn't in my cards at least when I was younger. I thought I'm going to be a fine artist. I thought I'm going to do, be a famous painter or an artist. But that didn't really happen. It wasn't that I didn't have some kind of success in that. But for me, it started close to my midlife crisis, around the age of 40. And that was quite a long time ago. For a few years, I was like in the really dark side. I was a little depressed. I didn't know what the meaning of life, why I'm here, what's the purpose of all of it. And it was quite a depressing time for myself. I mean, I already was married and 3 children, and I had my advertising office, and we did a very creative work. So I should have been very happy, but it didn't really satisfy me. I wasn't sure why. And then I read a book by, on my way to Hawaii, I read a book by Hank Wasserman. It's called Spirit Walker. And in that book, there was a many answer to my questions. And I got really emotional about it and very excited about it. And in the end of the book, he was writing about a workshop he took with Michael Harner. And I never heard of shamanism, or I never heard of Michael Harner for sure. Today he's a brand name, and everybody knows his name. But that was in 1995. And so when I came back to New York, there was a workshop in the New York Open Center, and I said, "Oh, I must take that," So it's a sign from whatever. At that time, I wasn't sure exactly what it was, and I did, and that workshop was really changed my life. I was able to communicate with spirit and work with power animals, and most of it is that it was very relevant for the people that I worked with. So it really gave me a whole different look about the spirit world and the material world and how they are all intersect. And that really got me going. And I took a workshop with John Perkins, also in the Open Center. And John was talking about a trip that he took he's taking people to Ecuador to work with the Shuar tribe in the Amazon and the people in the Andes. And that's where really the big transition happened for me. I met a shaman in the Andes, Don Jose Joaquin Pineda, that later on I became his apprentice and initiated me into this tradition. And I worked with the plant medicine with the Shuar people. And that's where I really got depressed because I really got to understand that for all these years that I was separating between the reality, what we see, what we experience in our senses, and then the spiritual world, and I kind of like poo-poo it. And like I grew up in kibbutz in Beit Alpha, and it's a communist kibbutz that vowed not to practice any kind of religious or spirituality. So it was a revelation, and so I got into like a very deep depression for 8 months. I came out of it with a group of people that we took a workshop in the Open Center with Nan Moss about practicing shamanism, and then we decided to create a form that we can meet every week and journey, and it was really very successful and happy. And so other people wanted to come, and that's how we started to create our monthly events, and more people showed up, and so that's how the New York Shamanic Circle founded. And I started to bring shamans or teachers from Ecuador, and people who I knew from Ecuador, from Native Americans, from Eskimos, from any shaman that was passing by that I knew, that I worked with. We invited them to come, and many of people from also Western people like Tom Cohen and Luis Malmadrone, and so the many people started to come to teach and then it started in 1997, so it's like 21 years later. We have an ongoing regular shamanic teachings, and we have women's circle, open circle, we have workshops, we have the gathering in Central Park. The whole idea is to cultivate a community in the largest capitalist center of the world. To give people a community, a family, and a place where they can share their love for the earth and their concern for the earth, and for the indigenous people that really carry all of those traditions. So it's quite amazing journey, which I tell many people that have come to my workshop that if now you're officially crazy. You are no longer belong to the old traditions, and you need a community. You need people who you can speak to in this language, and they will understand you. That you can share their experiences, and they will support you. And because there's quite loneliness in that journey too.
Oh yes, oh yes. Well, you picked the perfect place, like you said, New York City, where there's limited greenery. It's in certain spots, but it's mostly, concrete, right? Except if you're on the outskirts, but if you're in the city, it's definitely concrete.
But when I went to Ecuador, I spoke to one of the shamans there in the Andes, Alberto Tazzo, who is an amazing, powerful shaman who is also participating in our summit. And I said to him, it's not a big deal for you because you live in the Andes. You have trees, you have rocks, you have the lakes, you have the open space. So it's easy to become a shaman. He looked at me and he said, don't you think that your buildings and your sidewalks and your the city have spirit too? And I said, oh. It's a way that we think that it's either or nothing.
Right.
But I actually think that it is more challenging to practice it here in New York. But on the other hand, we have trees. We just don't pay attention to it. When I walk on the street, I hear the birds singing. And for me, it's a great message from spirit. So it depends where your intention focus to, and how you open your heart. And somebody once asked me, so how can I practice shamanism in the city? I said, well, the first thing you do, you have to take a little pot and plant a little tree or plant a little flower, and make sure that this grows. And because that's really the work. The work is about, it's a practical work. It's to make things grow.
Yeah. Well, people grow too. That so you're doing it with the whole gamut, the people and the plants and all, and even the buildings. I mean, I love that. The buildings do have energy. I mean, it's just condensed. It's just denser energy, right?
Yes, exactly. And you know, I think that we really have to tune to the energy of the city, the energy of the cars, or the energy of the park, or the energy that all surround us. We can't shut it off. We can't just say that we cannot practice shamanism because we live in a big city. That's just not right. And to say for New York, we have so many spiritual practices and religions and people who work with spirit. It's quite amazing. It's actually maybe the largest concentration or diversified concentration of different spirituality.
Which is beautiful. And you know, it's nice.
It,
Yeah. And do they mingle enough? Do they mingle, or they just sort of accept those different spiritual groups? Do they meet together? Do they mingle, or is it just something? See, might be something you have to do in New York now. Mingle the groups, like you did the shaman.
that's true. Well, in the shamanic gathering, that's what the idea is, to bring all the communities of shamanic practices to one place in Central Park, and we usually have between 200 to 500 people coming that weekend, and they come from different practices, from different teachers, and we invite different elders from African tradition, from South American tradition, from Native American tradition. So it's bringing the whole tribe together. It's very important. It gives people the sense of belonging. Yeah, very important.
When I think of shaman, I think of those cultures. What about the others, like the Buddhist and the Arab and all that? Do they come into religions like that? The Jewish, not so much. Huh?
Well, actually, yes. In our, we don't really ask people what they practice, but I know that many people practice meditation. They practice Zen. They practice all kind of different.
We'll do like rabbis show up, leaders of those groups. Do they show up at all?
No, we that didn't happen, but we had people. We had some Orthodox Jews who came to our events, which was like very surprising. And we had the Reverend James Morton from the St. John the Divine, who came to us on 9/11 to make a ceremony and prayers. We invite everybody to come. But one of the things that is maybe a little different than in the practice of shamanism, that we don't really look at it as a spiritual practice. We're looking at it as a way of life, as a way to relate to the universe. But it is not so much about becoming enlightened. It's not about become spiritual. It's really become an agent to sustain the earth. To work with spirit, and to make change in the world. So it's a more of a, where is the pudding? Can it grow corn, than just to become more enlightened, which is one part of that, but it's not the whole thing. It's really, you have to demonstrate that what you practice actually can bring results, change the world, make a more balanced world, make people more happy, harmonious life.
Okay, interesting. Because shamanism is an interesting, you do say that we're all shamans and we're all healers. So we're going right into that. So can you get a little deeper into what shamanism is so people would understand? Anything else you can share on that?
Um,
Just because it's so interesting and
yeah,
people don't understand it all. And it's even some of the things you're telling me is new. It's new. I haven't experienced all that. Go ahead.
yeah. So there are many different definition of the word shaman, and you have to understand that the word shaman is a one word that tries to describe all those practices, and they are practiced in many different cultures differently, and they have different names. The word itself, shaman, come from the Tungus tribe in Siberia, and according to one shaman that I actually spoke to from Tungus, a very old shaman that I had a chance of meeting him actually in New York, not in Tungus. The meaning of the word shaman is the keeper of the fire. It's a beautiful description of the role of the shaman, which is to keep the well-being, the physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being of the community, to be the pillar of community. So it really puts the shaman in the center of the community. It's a life of service for others, and it's a huge responsibility. Now, it means every shaman also have to be able to journey into the other world to work with spirit. Some shamans do healing work. Some shamans do ritual work or ceremonial work. So it's include all of that. So, and it doesn't mean that one person have to do all, but the center, the essence of the shaman is to be the keeper of the society, or keeper of the community. There is a big argument about that in the shamanic community, especially now where we are called to be active because of the regime that we have in the United States and all around the world. That shamans should not be active, that should be more sending prayers and, which is nice. It's a very cute idea to have. But shamans are all around the world taking responsibilities. In Ecuador, there were shamans that started the indigenous movement. They burned tires on the roads. In Peru, they are making demonstrations against the government and against Trump. In South Asia, they are very active. The shamans are very active in the political process, because when we talk about political, we're talking about policy. We talk about where our heart is. So the heart could be in one place, but if you don't manifest that in reality to change the people's reality and way of living, then we are not doing our work. So it's very complex to decide what shaman is. Okay. But I truly believe that is the center of it. The center is the life of service to others.
Sure. It definitely feels like that. I mean, that's what I've always felt that shamanism is. Well, thank you. That was I like when you use the word keep. It doesn't go with shamanism somehow, but it's funny.
Well, there's a lot of people who are hiding behind the idea of spirituality, and there is really no room for spirituality in shamanism. Spirituality, the way we define it, we are working with spirit for the benefit of other people and for the earth. That's what we do. But we have to demonstrate that we have changed. And if we talk about healers, you don't want a person that you come to him and he just pray over you and you still have the headache. You want to have a person that come and change the headache, and that makes it take it away, or find out the roots of that headache. So I do personally, I do like many of my teachers, that we are all shamans. We are all came to this earth in that ability, and it's very important for us because it's important for our own survival. And we all have dreams, we all have visions, we all have daydreams, we all have deja vus, we all have the ability to hug, to listen, to to give somebody a glass of water, and that's all healing. And that practice is available to everybody. But that doesn't mean that you have to devote your life to do that work, but it means that you have that ability. It's in our human DNA to be a healers or shamans. And each person, if you are a father or your mother, or you have a community or family around you, you are that keeper of the fire. You are the keeper of the community, and that role is very important. And I think that what happened now in our days is people feel disempowered, and they feel, oh, but I'm not a shaman, or I'm not a healer, I can't do that. And most of it is because they don't want to take responsibility. So the reason why I said that we are all shamans and we are all healers is because we have to take responsibility for the gift that God gave us, that we came here to this earth, and to make our children and grandchildren world much better than what we came in. And I'm not quite sure that we are very successful at that.
Yes, and I think the new thinking, and like what you're talking about, shamanism being so more, people are so much more aware of it now, and what it can do for you, and what you can do to partake in it and to learn from it, that we're learning to pass it around a little more, to give it back to people in society. I think that's part of what they call the awakening, and the waking up of the consciousness of people, that it's not all about me. It's also about giving it away, to help others. Because when you get out of yourself a lot, you can help others, and then you feel better. All of a sudden you change, you feel better. And it's an amazing.
Well, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I think that there's the awakening is really part of the condor of the eagle prophecy of the Pachacuti new era that came. I can explain it a little bit, but it's also a prophecy in the Mayan tradition, and in South Asia prophecies. So there is a prophecy that this time is about the return of the feminine energies, about the nurturing part of us. It's the merging of all the cultures together for the benefit of the human race, not just to become masculine, warrior, like conquer and build, but it's also about nurturing. And we actually see it. It actually started in 1993, 500 years after the killing of Atahualpa, the king of the last king of the Inca. And that was the end of the old Pachacuti, the old period of time. And they prophesied that the condor, which symbolized the South America culture, which is the heart-centered culture, will be flying in the same blue skies with the eagle, which represent our logical mind and our industrial civilization. And so they all come together. They will fly in the same sky in harmony, which means that the idea is of sharing knowledge, sharing technology, sharing the heart and the mind. And I think that we see that now. It's a lot of people are awakening to that call. They feel like they need to share their heart, and they need to share their knowledge with the people in the South. And many of the people in the South are coming here to teach us. And I think that synergy is so important for us now to experience. And many people here now, I mean, they're waking up to see that all the governments, all the religions, all the institutions that we always thought that this is how it should be, all failing us. In many ways, they take away our democracy. They take away our spirit. They take away our choices. And so shamanism is about personal responsibility. It's about listening to spirit and doing what spirit asks you to do. not waiting for other people to do it for you or to become slave of their dogmas. And I think that you know, technology, we have these tools now to do and to organize and to feel freedom of choice, freedom of to become who we are. And that's, I think, why people, so many people in the West are awakening. They don't know exactly why. They don't know that it's part of the prophecy, but that's not very important. The important part is that they will take action and that they will make the world for their grandchildren better. And it's a personal thing for me because I'm going to have still 5 grandchildren. And I want to make sure that they have a better world than I do, that I entered in. And I'm not quite sure that this is going to happen. And I'm very worried about that. And I hope that many people around, or the listeners or the other people around the world, they are as concerned as I am.
I think people are much more aware that this is what's going on, that we need to be more conscious of each other and to change things that aren't working. I mean, there's a lot of dissatisfaction in the world right now, and people don't know where to go sometimes. And I think these kinds of things that we're talking about helps them understand that there's places to go to get like a grounding for it and some help to open up their thinking, to look at it a different way, because they're looking at it from the old thinking, which isn't going to get them anywhere. They're stuck in that old box, and that's not going to help them. And I understand that because I've been in that box and I'm broken out of that, and we're still breaking out of it. It's a constant journey, isn't it? But you know, it definitely, I see people changing and shifting and making the work to do it. I mean, it takes some time and it takes work and commitment to say, this is what I need to change my life in a way. What do I have to do? So that's why I wanted to bring this program to people, so they could hear someone like you sharing, this is what you can do to help yourself. And these are what tools are available for you. So if you feel really stuck and you don't know what to do, here's a place to go to hear new thinking, new ways, new ideas, new ways of looking at things. And you're looking at the earth a whole different way. I mean, how many people thought of energy in the buildings? Like, buildings are energy, and like the shaman says, do you think it just has to be in the mountains? You know, I mean, that's a great analogy, because we don't see that sometimes. And so that's perfect, because it is living, even though it doesn't look it. There is energy there, and it is moving. It is like causing a vibration around us. And so what we give out, it's all like connecting. We're all connected. Everything is connected, isn't it? So absolutely. And people don't know that. We're learning it though. So through things like shamanism and all different practices, and people are, especially shamanism, I think, is very earth-based. As you said, everything has to be, you have to show what you've done, and you've got to prove what you do, and you've got to live it. You embody the whole practice. I mean, you are it. You're the practice. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Well, I think that the most in the shamanic practice, you have to embody that wisdom. It's not enough to keep it in your body, in your mind,
right.
That you know the tricks. That's not really it. You have to embody in you. You have to really understand deeply what the meaning of the 4 elements: the water, the fire, the earth, and the wind. You really have to understand that nature. And you have to understand that everything is alive and everything is manifesting itself. And a shaman, if you say about the keeper of the fire, is a manifester. He's not a dreamer. Many people want to be the dreamers, but that's not the dreamer. You have to have a vision, you have to have a dream, but you also have to work for it. You have to be active. You have to manifest the changes in this world. And I think that personally, I think that's what gives me the most satisfaction, because when I do healing work for people and they come out of the being possessed or being depressed or being with physical pain, and they come out of it and they feel well again, that they can go back to their family and communities, and they don't have to break the family, so they can continue to live in harmony with themselves. That's the most satisfying part for me as a practitioner.
I do work like that
Yeah.
too. So I understand that feeling. It's a beautiful feeling. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is wonderful when you can help somebody and you see the shift and they can become, as you say, in harmony with their body, and they can become productive again in their life and do things, and they're happy. They're happy again because their life is balanced. So we're bringing some joy there. We're bringing joy to these people, which is wonderful. And so you talk about soul loss and soul mending or soul retrieval. How does that work? And how does that affect us? Because that to me is so interesting. You talked about the soul and how it relates to shamanism. There was something about that with shamanism. Like I was reading about how you have allopathic medicine and shamanic healing works together. Like you say, it's important to do that together. And then you talk about the three worlds of, which I agree, you have to, because we have both. We have to use both because that's what's available to us. And not all people are ready for both. Some will only go one way or the other, but you also talk about, so you want to talk a little bit about that, the allopathic medicine and the shamanic healing, how they work together?
Yes, of course. There's a very distinct character for allopathic medicine or like Western medicine. Mm-hmm. First of all, we have to understand that allopathic medicine is very new. It's about 200 years, maybe 400 years old. It's not what throughout millions of years human beings practice.
Okay.
So when you say alternative medicine is actually allopathic medicine. And there are some people believe that the allopathic medicine or Western medicine is a scientific. And I want to challenge that because most of it is by trial and error. Mm-hmm. Most of the medication that you are taking today is done by trial and error. It has nothing, it's technical. You try it, which is very much the same as the work we do in the shamanic work, because try and error. We try and if it works, we keep it. We don't. So it's a human way of experiencing the world. Where allopathic medicine excel is in cutting the symptoms of disease or medicine or illnesses. So if you have pain, it will give you a pill and it will take away. Where shamanic work is it's trying to find the cause or the root cause of that disease. And sometimes, or most of the time, it becomes because of soul loss, because a trauma or event that happened in people's life that is either, it's most of the time it's not under their control, that either they object themselves to violence or abuse or accidents or war or bad words that was given to them. And then they decided at that moment to kill that part of themselves that felt that pain. And the rest of their life is running around that pain and trying to avoid that. And of course, they create that over and over again. It's like scratching your body when you have a bite. And of course, you repeat the same things over and over and over again. So in the shamanic tradition, what you do is you journey into the spirit world. You ask to see the root cause of the sickness, and then you deal with that. And when you do that, then the symptoms disappear. But where allopathic is good is that sometimes you do need to have a surgery. The technical part is incredibly developed and very important. And I think that if we work together, we can help each other, or we can help humans deal with their problems much better. And I have a great example of that. I had a woman who was cursed by another witch in the Philippines, in Bali. In Bali, not the Philippines, in Thailand. She was in an island, and something happened there, and she was cursed. She came back, and she had to have a liver transplant.
Wow.
and before the surgery, I came and I did a ceremony inside the hospital, and the surgeon, the person in charge of the department, was sitting in front of the door, making sure that I'm able to do that. He caved the door. Yeah, because they understood the meaning of that. And that young woman that went to surgery, she went to the surgery with peaceful mind. Her body was relaxed. She went to the operation with intent, with purpose, and she was healing a lot faster because her body and emotion, everything was aligned for the surgeon to work with. And so the body was not fighting with the operation. And that's why she's here today. But, you know, I think it's a great example. You know, I practice in different hospital, in hospice, because I think it's very important for the patient and for their families to have a integration of the emotional, spiritual, cultural belief system with the Western procedures. And I think it's also important for the doctors themselves to know that they're not dealing with just Mrs. Robinson. That they actually working with Barbara, or with like a person. That they have children, they have hopes, they have. It's a human being. So I think we need to bring this together. And in the next year, I'm going to try to bring to make a conference about that. For allopathic medicine or psychotherapists who are practicing also the shamanic or other healing methods, to come together in a conference so we can talk all about that and how to bring this more to our institution. But also I think that it's important for the shamanic community and allopathy and what we call alternative healing, to accept the Western medicine, because I had a friend who was a great healer. He had a mouth cancer, and he refused to be helped by Western medicine, the radiations and all. And I dragged him into every hospital that I could, but it was too late. And he told me not to even dare to bring him into any kind of allopathic medicine. So I think that we have two sides that are digging in their heels here, where we need to bring them together to understand that there is benefit for each of those medicine, and it's all one big part to help people to live a more peaceful life.
Yeah, that's true. That's a beautiful example, because yes, I've seen that myself, where people, I have prepared people for surgery too, and they go in and everything goes so smooth. And of course, they're not a total believer in what I'm doing, even though they came. And then they say, oh, it could have happened anyway. And I'm like, maybe it could, maybe it couldn't. But you know, now you've had a good experience and things are going so well. So that's all, it's all good. So it doesn't really matter, right? In the end, it's just that you took the choice to go and get the help and do that kind of work to make it better. Like you say, align their body and prepare it and let the body accept, which is beautiful. Yeah.
But I think that in many ways, we all know the mind-body connection. So when you are under stress, the body release different acidities, amino acids, and that fights our body. And so our muscles are closed. All our body, instead of allowing the procedure to go, they fight it. So if you fight it, you can't really benefit from the surgery. So I think that it's a great example of that, because we always think that we need to be pure. It's I'm not going to use any kind of Western doctors. No, I swear I would die not doing it. But on the other hand, why?
Right.
You know, these are human beings who have different techniques and different methods. You don't have to agree with that. But if you allow that to happen, my friend John was the most amazing experience, and I'm still grieving his loss because he could have been here with us.
Yes, yes. He made the choice. Unfortunately, it was his choice in this life, and that was what he chose. And yeah, I had a friend who just passed who had brain cancer, and I offered him many things and many people to help him, but he did not believe in this version of help. So I didn't. He's gone. He about a month ago, and it was pretty quick, about a year and a half. So it's sad because there's so much available, but it's really a person's choice, and we can only offer, and like we're doing here, putting it out to people, and then they make the decision. And there's so much choices and hope that you can choose from to make things easier and better. And the minds have to open up to hear that, right? Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's where the point of the shamans need to be practical, is that you have to not think about your purity of spirit or soul or enlightenment. You have to think about the end results. So if a surgery can help, then use that, because it's a useful tool. If it can hurt, don't use that. Use the stuff. I mean, I have people who came to me with illnesses, physical illnesses, that this woman went to 23 different experts.
Wow.
Only to find out the solution here with the shamanic work. So you have to trust. You have to trust that.
And it's good to be a seeker, because you're not always accepting what you're hearing. And we have a friend who did the same thing, and he was told to have surgery, and it was for cancer, and to have it here, and they were just going to do the little incision and poke the tool in and pull it out, and he didn't feel that it was going to work. He said, no. They say that spreads cancer. So he chose not to do it. And then he went to Thailand, and he happened to be on an elevator, and there was a psychic there, and he said, "You're sick." And he said, "Yes, I am." And he said, "Well, you're really sick." He said, "You need help, and I know just who to send you to." And he sent him to this Thai surgeon, who literally cut him open. He said, "It'll be a longer recovery, but you will live through it. You will survive this." And he did the surgery, and it was a little longer, but he's alive and perfect now. He's fine. He's doing well, just because he listened to that little voice that said, don't go rushing into this. Look more, keep looking, So that's a nice thing to tell people, that there's so many ways. Like, maybe it isn't the surgery, maybe it isn't the Western medicine. Your shamanism, your work, your healing helped him or that person, and look at what they got. It's amazing, it's an incredible world that we're open to now, and that there's so much available to us. Yes. And this is the consciousness change that is going on, that we can see that, and people are seeing it more and more. And you can offer it with the shamanism, and I do healing work, and it's not quite shamanism, but it's all the same. To me, it's all the same. It's all spirit based, and you're in your heart, and you're working with that. And it's beautiful. I mean, it's so important to be showing that to people, and people are hearing it more and more. So what I know you have, so the three worlds in the shamanic teaching, I don't want to get into too much, because we're moving along here, but is there anything you'd like to tell us about what you think people need to hear for 2019? Any special message that you think people need to hear? Because I know you've been saying a lot of good things. So is there anything really specific here that you think people need to hear?
Well, I don't think that I'm very original in that idea. I think that we have only one mother, Mother Earth, that is alive and it's breathing, and we human being is responsible for that habitat. But it's not just for us, it's for every other species on this earth. And I think that maybe this year it's really about learning to see the beauty, the magic, the magnificent gift that we were giving to keep, and pass it on to other generations. And we need to be active in manifesting its aliveness. I mean, I know it sounds maybe a little preachy, but I think that it's if we all feel that we have no other place to go, we don't have other planet to send our children and grandchildren and those who will come after us, we have to do what the work, and the way to do it is change the consciousness, change the way we treating other people, and understanding that we are only one race, that we are most likely humans are the most destructive race on this earth, more than any other animals or being on this earth, that consume its environment. And it's everything is, as we say in the shamanic tradition, that everything is alive and everything has consciousness, and everything is teaching us all the time, and we just don't really like to listen. We are continuing with the old way of thinking, and I hope that 2019 and maybe 2020, which we can all choose people who would lead the way to take responsibility on the earth. And I think that that's the biggest thing, that we have to take responsibility for each of us ability to heal. It's each of us ability to do the shaman work or the shamanic work. And most of all is to ask ourselves, what are we leaving those people who are behind us? What kind of world do we want our grandchildren to have? Do we want to have an asphalt world? Do we want to have do we want them to go into movie theater or not movie theater, because that's probably would be old, but to look at the screen to know what a lion is, or what is a toucan, a bird is, or I mean, what kind of vision do we have? So, and that's really the most important thing for me, is to leave the world, and I know I'm going to leave soon, sometime. So I'm not afraid of that. I've gone through it a few times the last few years, so I know that it's for me, it's real. It's the legacy that we are leaving behind us to other generations, and I'm just like really afraid that my grandchild ask my son, Daddy, what did your grandfather did when the earth was melting?
Yeah, well, it's true. I agree. That's we have to be responsible for our planet, because it's our planet, it's our mother, it's where everything comes for us. I mean, this is where we get our food, this is how we breathe. I mean, without Mother Earth, we don't exist, or we have to exist in a way that is not what we're doing right now. So, to be responsible for what we're putting into the water and what we're doing to dig up the earth, and to, leave it as we can, just leave what's there now, just leave it alone. Don't touch any more of it. Just let it be natural and pristine, and let it just blossom and grow, because, you read how they brought the wolf into the parks out in Yellowstone, I think it was, where the wolf came back in, and because of the wolf being there, like even the river course changed. The river changed because the wolf brought in new animals that came for his prey, and then those animals were growing, dropping seeds, which allowed new flowers and new plants to grow. It's a miracle. I mean, to see what we do when we let it be natural and be the real earth, it totally changes the whole planet. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So I understand what you're saying. I really
absolutely do. When I take groups to the Amazon, and we sit for days in ceremonies, or just free time, or in the primary jungles and being with the indigenous people, the Sequoia, the Shuar, the Kichwa, they really get it. They really understand what life is really about, not what the nightmare that we are living here. And they come back different, and they change their life. They, you know, we had people who are a real estate developer that they started to develop affordable housing. There are people who devoted their life to making more social justice. They people who changed the way they see the world. They something open in them. Their heart was open, and that's really what all of those work that we do is about, is to open our heart, to allow that magical universe to come into our heart and to project it to other people too. I think that's, you know, if you want to ask me what I want for 2019, yes, I wanted people to open their heart.
Yes, that's a perfect message, beautiful message. I love that, because that's where I feel it's all about, is opening your heart and to just don't be afraid to be vulnerable and to help each other and to give back a little. It's always nice to give back, because we get a lot. We have a lot here, and especially in the United States, they say we're such consumers. It's almost embarrassing now, because you know, I have friends in Europe who will come and say, wow, you people have a lot of waste, and you know, you have paper plates and cups, and we don't even use that in Europe. We try not to use that at all, because it just causes all this excess. And I'm like, really? Oh, wow. And you don't even think of that, because it's so part of our lifestyle. And there's so much to be aware of. It's even those little things. All you need is baby steps to start changing the way the world is and the way we are. Just little steps, like, you know, taking care of your imprint on the earth, just to make it less your imprint on the planet.
And we truly don't really need so much. That's the whole thing. We really don't. I mean, John Perkins, you write about that constantly, that we can fight all of those corporations, so we can fight all this global warming by the choices we make in the supermarket, by the choices we make of shopping. If we stop buying, if we decide that we don't want to have cars that swallow gasoline, that industry will fall. Mm-hmm. It's our responsibility. We give those corporations the power. We give those doctors the power. We give the religious institution the powers. We give all of those. We give them the power. We have to wake up to take that power back. And that's the shift in the consciousness.
Yes. Yeah. And it's amazing, because we actually have the power, because we are the mass. We are the huge amount of numbers, and we have the numbers to shift everything.
That's right.
It's under control with those religions and different things. I mean, it's not that religion is bad. It's good, because it gives people foundation. But if it's such a parameter that you can't breathe, and you're told how to live your life so much that you don't have any freedom, then there's something not perfectly going. It's not natural. It's not natural. So yeah, it's wonderful. So, well, I know you have a special gift for people. Could you tell us a little about it? Do you remember what your gift is?
Did we? Wait, let me see.
I'm sorry. I don't even have it right in front of me. So it's okay. There's a free gift. I don't have it in front of me either. So I apologize. Actually, I can look it up right now. I can tell you in 1 second what you have.
Oh.
What you're giving to.
Okay, wait. I have that. Okay.
Yep, you're giving a Shamanic self-defense.
Yes, yeah. And so in the shamanic tradition, we believe that there are energy forces that are either come our way with our permission and without our permission, those are curses and jealousies and evil spirit that roam around and enter into the energy field of other people, creating havocs, and their purposes is to stop the flow of life. And so these are teachings that I received from different shamans in the Amazon and in the Andes. I put them in a little booklet with techniques to, first of all, to diagnose that, to realize if you do have that, and also ways to clear those energies. It's kind of a useful directory to what kind of minerals, what kind of ceremonies you can do to remove negative energies, and it's something that I personally use quite often in my work with other people and myself, and I hope that you can use that. We didn't talk much about evil spirit and dark energies, but this is part of the shamanic belief system that there are those energies, and from the people who come to me, I know that many people feel that attachment or all kind of different energies that go into their energy field or body. So it's a useful useful booklet for you to have.
Right. Well, there's a lot of people have mixed belief on that. So, we don't want to scare them, but yet there are things that are around, and this is a great tool to use. And I understand that it's a great tool to have to, clear.
Yeah. It's it's not necessarily only for unique to South America shamanism. You can find that in many different cultures, and even in the Judaism where I'm come from. My great grandfather was a Kabbalistic rabbi and a healer himself, and he devoted his life for that particular subject. Unbeknown to me, I only found about it a couple of years ago.
Really?
But yeah, it was quite a surprise. But he dedicated his life to the fight between good and evil, and in the Kabbalah that was part of that is the role of the rabbi or is to bring the light into the darkness, and to bring as much light as you can into the shadow, into the fear-based society, and they recognize the different entities that are playing in that world. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. There's a lot of different things that are so. The more you learn, the more you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I think it's very important for all of us as parents and teachers and others is to know that sometimes we think about curses as like an evil shaman send the curse to somebody to stop the flow of life. But I'm sure you know from your work too that a lot of the curses are happening, are sent by the people that you most love, like your father or like your mother telling you that you have a horrible voice, that you will never be able to sing, that that you are not a mathematician and you'll never learn math, that you have two left legs and you'll never be a dancer. So these are evils. These are negative energies sent as curses to from young age to people that it's a belief system that they hold. And a lot of the work that we do is to undo that, to free people from those energies. So you don't have to be an evil person like Trump or other people like that to practice evil, but sometimes it comes from the most people that you love and trust. And
Yes, I understand. It's the wounds from childhood, the wounds from any kind of trauma in your life. That could be what you call that a curse. And like I would call it a wound, and you would say it's a curse. So
Yeah.
that's good for clarification. People go, oh, whoa, what's he talking about? You know, because it's a different word. It's like an old word that people don't use as much anymore because it's kind of scares them, you know. But
Well, I think the difference between the wound and the curse is that when the wound is it hurts you,
okay.
but a curse is when you start to believe that it's true.
Oh, okay.
That you start to avoid being dancing. You start avoiding doing math. Avoid being who you are.
Okay.
That's a different that's a difference that your part of your soul was taken away. Because if you are a great dancer and your mother told you that you are too fat, you can't dance, that it's a wound, but it's also a curse.
Okay.
Because every time you go to dance, part of your soul reminding you that you are not able to do that, that you are cursed not to dance. You're cursed not to fulfill your talent, your God-given gifts.
So you don't become the great dancer that you could become because you're held back from that belief. Okay,
Yes.
got it. Okay, I hear what you're saying. Yep, interesting. Wow, there's so much to learn. I mean, shamanism can go in such a new direction in so many ways, but yes, it's a very old direction. It's a very ancient direction. It's the way it was, and that is the way we're going back to those ways now, which I think is so important, to go back to the old ways, to learn. This is where it all came from. Like you were saying, Western medicine is only 400 years old at the most, where shamanism is ageless. It's been here since the day man appeared on the earth. The day there was consciousness on the earth is when that all showed up. So it's an ancient method that we are all learning to, you know, embrace that again, and understand that there's so many different ways to help yourself in the world, and people to go to for help. If you can't do it all yourself. It's always good to ask. You can't stay in that neighborhood of what you've been thinking and think you're going to change it. You've got to go out and get into a new neighborhood, learn how to, and get the new information to change that. That's what's running around in your head. You can't change what's there because you don't know anything new. You're just stuck with that old thinking. And when you move out of that into new areas of like what you're teaching, you know, talking about the shamanic circle, to go to that and to go to the centers and to learn and to open up to new learning, changes everything. It's amazing. It's a beautiful thing. And thank you for sharing that with us. And I had so many more questions to ask you, but this was where we went, and this is what was important to hear today. I'm so excited. And I thank you so much, Itzhak, for everything you've given to people, because you are a luminous divine light, and you share so much and you teach so much from the heart, and you can just feel that with what you've been doing. And your shamanic, your Andes Summit is something that you were going to talk a little about if you want to before we end, or do you?
Sure. I think that, like you said, and I think that's what you said is perfectly correct, that those people for thousands of years in the Amazon and the Andes and other places in the world where Western civilization didn't destroy, they kept those healing secrets, those technology that we so desperately need now to protect and help our world. And I thought that there's no other better way for people to actually meet those people who still are here, but not for very long time, is to come to Ecuador and to meet them personally and go to their homes and wash in their lakes and waterfalls and dance in their streets and eat their food and feel that energy that it comes from indigenous people who are still practicing ancient technologies to balance the world. And so on this coming June, and you are all invited to come, June 15th to the 23rd, We have the 10 most powerful shamans, well-known and healers, shamans, teachers that they all come together in one place. And we have 3 days of master classes, and we have 3 days of healing, personal healing sessions. We have plant medicine performed by them and sweat lodges, and we have dancing in the street, like I said, with the Inti Raimi, the solstice ceremonies. So it's like one time in one place where everything comes together, and it really changed people's life. Last year we had the first of that Andy Summit. It really changed the way they saw the world. It gave them meaning. It gave them purpose. It opens their heart to this group of amazing people. I know them for 24 years. But I was crying every time that they were talking about. And most of the thing that personally I had is, and I spoke about it before, is that their grandchildren who were always against what their grandparents are doing, and they thought that it's very primitive and that it's not part of the new era. Those children, those grandchildren, and now they are in the 20s, came on to the circle wearing their shaman's clothes. Wow. And making a statement how important this moment is for them to accept their role, to accept their grandparents and their fathers' shamanic role. And I don't think that there was anybody there with dry eyes, because wow, we were all crying. And the shamans that came together for the first time to be with each other and actually listen to each other and learn from each other, they were crying. Wow. So it was a very, very emotional gathering where we all had healing. They had their healing, that their next generation had healing. We came from 11 different countries to celebrate this with them. We had our own healing. And so it was such an amazing healing summit. It's very happy summit too, but it's very joyful to be with all of those families, with their grandchildren and daughters and sons, and the whole family came to us. There was not we did not expect that, but all of those 10 shamans families came, and they were eating with us, dancing with us, in ceremonies with us, and it was a really feeling of a family, which is what we are really trying to do, is to bring the family of humans together.
Absolutely. Wow. It sounds like an amazing experience. I'm looking forward to next year, because I've got to plan this year on those dates. The point when I realized it, I said, "Oh, are you gonna do it next year?"
I think so. I never planned to do it even the second time. We thought to do it once, but this once was so powerful, so emotional, and the shamans really wanted to do it again. Oh, and so we are doing it, and I do hope that it will be very successful this year too. Yeah. I don't have like a master plan to do it forever or whatever. Okay. No, it's just an opportunity.
At the moment, yeah.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. It is beautiful. And I would love our listeners to, write back and let us know how they loved everything about this show that Itzhak shared, this beautiful shamanistic teachings and understanding of what shamanism is. It's just amazing the things we've learned today, and love to hear any of your comments, and I will share them with Itzhak. And Itzhak, thank you for sharing your visionary and transformative, luminous, beautiful light that you share with people. And you have selflessly pursued so many ways of teaching shamanic ways, and you brought the many styles to people. And look at what you're doing, bringing this teaching around the world and bringing people there, bringing them here. It's fantastic. And you've owned your divine light, as my show is called, and you're helping people unlock their passion. Yes. Go ahead. What were you going to say? People are unlocking.
I truly love it.
Yes, you
It's,
do.
it's not something that I do it because I have to do it. I
Right.
really feel passionate about it, and I really feel that it's my time, my role to do it. But the most of it is I truly enjoy that. And I enjoy meeting people who are in their awakening stage, making commitment, opening their heart, and all around the world. It's just really fantastic.
It is. It is.
It's a beautiful journey, and I invite everybody to enter on
Yes,
that journey.
yes, I do. I agree.
And
mean,
thank you so
thank
much.
you, Itzhak. And just we're helping people unlock their passions and ignite their authenticity and finally create the lives they love. And they find their sole purpose in all that doing this. So thank you so much. And my name is Janet Miller, and I will see you on the next episode. Thank you, Itzhak. Wow.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.